Hello, WHSDA Church family. Good to be with you on this Thursday of our daily manna. We've been journeying through Mark chapter 6, looking at two different stories and examples of people and groups that didn't recognize Jesus. Yesterday, we discussed Herod missing out on Jesus because of his guilt. And so we now encounter our third group, Jesus' own disciples that miss out on him. And so since Herod missing out on Jesus, Jesus has fed the 5,000. And now the disciples are out at sea, and they're going to miss out on Jesus in a very interesting way. So let's go to Mark chapter 6, starting in verse 47. Mark chapter 6 in verse 47. Now when evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea, and he was alone on the land. Then he saw them straining at rowing, for the wind was against them. Now about the fourth watch of the night he came to them walking on the sea, and would have passed them by. And when they saw him walking on the sea, they supposed it was a ghost, and cried out, for all they saw him, and were troubled. But immediately he talked with them, and said, Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid. And verse 52 says, For they had not understood about the loaves, because their heart was hardened. So we see here Jesus appears in the midst of the storm to the disciples, to the ones who've been following him, and they don't recognize him. They actually think that it's a ghost, a being that doesn't exist. And they say, wow, this must be Jesus, because their hearts are hard and they are afraid. And fear can cause us to miss out on some of the great things that Jesus wants to do in our lives. It can cause us to miss out on the work and its own presence in our lives. I know for me, fear has almost kept me back from doing some of the great things that God had for me, and sometimes it has hindered me in what I have done. And fear blinds our eyes, it blinds our minds from seeing who Jesus really is, because when we let that be the motivator, then everything else doesn't matter. And Jesus here says, no, be of good cheer, don't be afraid, because it's me. And so when we know Jesus, when we know who he is, when we can recognize him, perfect love begins to cast out fear. And there may be things that you are fearing today. There may be things that you are scared of today. And Jesus says, bring it to me, because it is I. Be of good cheer. Do not be afraid. So what can you give to Jesus today? What are you fearful of today? Know that you can give it to Jesus, because he's walking amidst the storm, and he's there for you.